Good afternoon, everybody. This is Amanda Peterson, and I am here to visit with all of you about kindergarten readiness. First and foremost, I want to say thank you, all of you, for your really hard work to engage with families and to support strong transitions into kindergarten this year. We know that there were just a number of challenges that made this year different than previous years as you thought about your activities leading up to the start of the kindergarten year. And we also know that this really critical work to prepare schools and families and students to start off kindergarten on a strong note is going to be more important than ever to navigating change this year and to achieving our Kansans Can vision. I'm sharing some preliminary data based on when we put together these slides and recorded this session, but as of October 23rd, we have screenings entered in for more than 21,000 kindergarten-age students in the ASQ online system. So thank you, all of you, for your hard work on this front so that we have good data to analyze at the state level and to use this year. There are still additional screenings that are pending in family access, and what that means is that families have submitted screenings through a unique link that was generated by the district, but the school building hasn't yet gone in to accept those screenings, and that's the step that has to happen for that data to be included when we look at your district's data and when we analyze those reports at the state level. So we want to make sure that we have as much data as we can before we do that final data pull. So if you have screenings that are pending in family access, please go in and accept those. Your ASQ online users should have been getting email reminders and instructions about how to do that. Also, if you have screenings that maybe you completed them on paper and pencil and you weren't sure whether you could enter them in even though you've missed the submission deadline, please do get those really quickly in. They might not make it into the data that we pull for this year's analysis, but it will still be helpful to have those entered in there. So even though that deadline is passed, please do enter in any data that you have collected from this year's kindergarten readiness snapshot. And if you need any support on this front, you can email me and Jordan Christian. We have been reaching out to programs to follow up on these issues so that we can get this finalized for this school year. Now, as you are thinking about what additional resources are available to help support kindergarten readiness in your district, first and foremost, I know it's a really busy time, but this is a good time for your kindergarten teachers and your administrators to reflect on this year's transition into kindergarten activities. You can think about, what went well, what can improve. If you really weren't satisfied with your overall ability to engage with families and to complete the kindergarten readiness snapshot or to follow up with them to share the results and use that as something that's useful in your program, this is a really good time to start planning and thinking ahead to next summer so that you can be thinking about how you can use this tool to really support you and support families and support children as all of you get ready for the start of your kindergarten year. I also want to highlight for you that something that has changed is that districts now have year-round access to the ASQ online account. So that same account that you use to administer the Kansas Kindergarten Readiness Snapshot, you can now use that to serve any child or to screen any child who's in your building anytime birth through kindergarten entry at any point during the school year. And while we haven't yet set the Kindergarten Readiness Snapshot collection window for next year, this does mean that if you would like to use the ASQ during any kind of spring enrollment activities that you have. Perhaps you've been using a different screening tool and you'd like to use something that aligns well with the Kindergarten Readiness Snapshot. This is a great time to look at the ASQ and think about whether you'd like to use it in that context. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. There are also, so we have a number of districts who will be joining us on November 13th for a Kindergarten Readiness Summit, and the registration for that has closed already. But you can visit the Kansas Children's Cabinet and Trust Fund website to see some resources that we've pulled together there in preparation for the summit. There are two really fantastic webinars on kindergarten readiness and strong transitions into kindergarten that I highly, highly recommend. The team put together a great lineup of folks to speak to these issues, and that would be a really great, perhaps, food for thought for your teams as you are considering your work in this area. There are also going to be other resources that are posted to that website and that are added there in the weeks to come. Finally, if you haven't already, I'd encourage you to take a look at the Kansans Can Star Recognition Program. You can visit the Star Recognition page on the KSDE website, and if you do that, you can take a look at the Kindergarten Readiness Rubric, which is a really great opportunity for you and your local team to sit down and self-evaluate and see where you're at and where you might have opportunity to improve as you're thinking about your districts and your community's overall work in this area. There is also, I want to preview for you some very exciting work that is underway in regards to the Kindergarten Readiness Snapshot, the Ages and Stages Questionnaires, or the ASQ. So as you all know, this is something that is required for all incoming kindergarten, all buildings that have incoming kindergarten students. But it's also something where in this next round of the state contract, we've actually expanded it to eventually allow all Kansas community-based early childhood care and education programs to also participate in this statewide initiative. So there are a whole lot of benefits to a community using streamlined tools for to be able to inform families about their child's developmental progress. This is a really great opportunity when you're thinking about that whole birth through kindergarten entry continuum to make sure that your community is engaging with families really early on, to think about the importance of supporting their child's development and getting them connected to services if they need them. And so as we think about what this expansion is going to look like, there are going to be 32 new Kansas ASQ enterprise accounts, each one of those connected to and administered by the local Part C network, with the vision being that any community-based program or any parent in the community, if they are not connected with a program, would be able to use these accounts so that they could have developmental screenings for their children at any point birth through kindergarten entry. So nothing needs to change at this point for districts in terms of their kindergarten readiness snapshot and what that looks like. But your local Part C networks may be reaching out to you in the coming weeks and months to visit with you about how your community can really support this initiative and can really boost kindergarten readiness for all students starting at birth. So this is a pretty exciting opportunity. There's more information that's going to be coming. We're working on getting all of the appropriate stuff set up at the state level to be able to put this into practice. But if you have any questions in the meantime, please reach out to Erica Figueroa, whose email is there on the screen. Erica has worked with our partners at the Kansas Department of Health and Environment and the Kansas Children's Cabinet and Trust Fund for quite some time to support communities around the state in using the ASQ as a tool to support children's overall developmental health. We also want to make sure that everybody is aware that on November 10th, our Kansas State Interagency Coordinating Council and our Special Education Advisory Council will be meeting for their annual joint meeting. This is an important opportunity for us to bring together the state ICC, which focuses on issues that support kids birth through age 5 who have developmental delays or who are at risk of developmental delays, and our Special Education Advisory Council, which is able to advise the State Department of Education and the State Board of Education on special education issues. So this is a really important opportunity for those communities or those organizations to come together and discuss issues that are important to young children who have developmental delays or who are at risk of developmental delays in the state. For more information about either of these advisory councils, you can visit their respective websites. And if you would like to join the meeting to be able to watch, then you can contact Jordan Christian, who is staff to the state ICC, and his email is there on the screen. We're anticipating that one piece of the conversation will be around least restrictive environments and how we can improve the number of young students in Kansas who are learning in the most inclusive environment with their peers who do not have disabilities. Those are our updates for today. There are a couple of ways that you can stay connected to the early childhood team. First and most importantly, you can email Becky Strom to join our early learning listserv. And for those of you who will be keeping an eye out for the RFPs that we will release for funding opportunities for the 2021-2022 school year, those will be coming out in December or January, and the best way to make sure that you get notified of that is to join the early learning listserv. We'll make sure that those are shared far and wide once they're available, including on these hot topic recordings. You can also visit our KSDE Early Childhood webpage. That will include the program updates that we've sent out on November 4th and a link to sign up for our webinar on November 6th. And that webinar is really an opportunity for our early childhood professionals to come together to connect with their peers and be able to discuss any of the information that we've shared today, ask any questions that you have of KSDE staff, and really have a place to be able to problem solve and connect with our peers from around the state. We know that the pandemic might have interrupted or disrupted other opportunities that we have to come together and really debrief and brainstorm and think together. You can also, I highly recommend that you visit the Kansas Children's Cabinet and Trust Fund website to sign up for weekly email updates on early childhood issues. If you scroll to the bottom of any page on that website, there is a place to sign up for those weekly email updates. And there are just a plethora of funding opportunities that have been made available as the state responds to the pandemic. And so I would really encourage you to visit that website and make sure that you're signed up so that you don't miss out on any of those funding opportunities. Finally, just so that you have it, email is a great way to reach any member of the KSDE Early Childhood team, and here is a link to all of our email addresses so that in the areas that we are responsible for and support so that you know who to contact for what question. We look forward to working with all of you, and we hope that you enjoy a great rest of your day.